7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello everyone, in the last video we covered the various prototyping softwares, and then I showed you Sketch, and we should now have downloaded that onto our computers. In this video I'm going to show you the basics of Sketch. To be able to do the entire prototype would take way too long, so I'm going to show you the basics, the fundamentals of what you can do in Sketch, and then I'll start the next video with our completed prototype that I've done, and then we'll work towards putting that into a completed landing page within a landing page software. So this will just show you some Chrome extensions that'll be helpful, some features in Sketch, so if you choose to create your own prototype, you'll be able to do that. So if you open Sketch, you'll land here, and then I will say File, New from Template, Web Design. When it opens up, it'll give me 4 different boards. If you're a professional UX UI designer by trade, you'll be designing for desktop, HD, tablet, mobile, all of these things. The landing page software that we're going to be using will make it very easy to make it responsive. What responsive means is that your formatting for a desktop will automatically update to be accurate on a tablet, a mobile phone, a wider monitor, so it's constantly updating your site to be responsive for various different devices. But for now, we'll just focus on desktop. So you'll click Desktop HD, hold down Command on a Mac, and then click Tablet and Mobile, right-click, and you'll hit Delete. Now we're just left with desktop. So I'll go ahead and move this to 100%, and you'll notice my dimensions for this are at 1024 by 1024, width and height. You'll leave 1024 width because that's standard desktop, and then I'll expand this out to be roughly 3000 pixels. So if I back out, now it's much taller than it was. And you'll keep adjusting this as you work down the page. You'll make it larger and larger depending on how much space you need for all the elements you're going to put in. So from here, I'm going to walk you through some of the basic functions to how to get started with prototyping your page. One of the first is I want to insert a header image here, or like a background section that we went over. So if I open up ClickFunnels, say I want to find out how tall this is, right? I want my proportions to be accurate. If you click Command-Shift-4 on a Mac, it'll give you the screenshot tool. So I'll start at the top of the header section here, and I'll drag, and it is 550 pixels roughly. So I know when I come in here, I can click Insert, Shape, Rectangle, and now I'll just drag and drop. Boom, boom. And it's telling me that this shape, I'm going to move my video over so you can see everything accurately here. This shape is 407 pixels high. If I change it to 550, it would be the same amount of pixels in height as that section that we just saw. So another thing I can do is I'll come over to my website and I'll copy my logo, and I'll go ahead and drop it in here, Command-V. So you'll see how big this image is now. Another way to figure out the right sizing is if I'm on that website and I right-click and click Inspect, and I click this little thing in the right-hand corner. If I hover over that, you see it'll tell me the dimensions, 157.5 by 70. So if I come back here and I change this to 157, it now changes those dimensions to 157 by 70, and I can drag that over here, and now I have my logo dropped in. So I can select those 2 layers, this, and I'll rename this the header background. If I Command-click both of them, then right-click and hit Group Selection, it'll group them, and I'll make this section my header section. So every element that I put for the header will be grouped under this folder, and that way I can edit it all at once. So some other things that you can do in here outside of that, like obviously you can copy and paste images. You can click Insert Image, and you can select what image you want from your desktop. So once you start working with imagery, you can do that. But let's talk about some other things like a call to action button. So I'll do Insert a Shape, Rounded, and I'll just draw it from my CTA and my nav bar that we discussed. So I'll put that in here. And now I want to change the background. I'll temporarily move it to like a red so you can actually see it. But I want this to match. So if I go back into my browser window and I go to ClickFunnels, say I want this exact blue. I have a Chrome extension here. I'm going to move this over. and close that down just so you can see everything. I have a Chrome extension here that is a color picker. It's called Color Picker. If you search for Color Picker Chrome extension, it'll be this first one. And what it does is say I want that exact color. I click on this, and then I say pick color from web page, and I'll hover over the color that I want. And I'll click it. When I do that, it then saves that color. It's right here, 348DEE. So when I go back to my sketch and I'm here, I just type in 348DEE, hit enter, and now I have the right color CTA button. If I click this, it'll remove the border. This is all relatively familiar styling if you use Photoshop or anything like that, so I'm not going to dive too far into it. But now I have that CTA button, and now say I wanted to overlay some text on that. I will click Insert Text. I'll hover over that button, and I'll go here, and I'll type in Get Demo. That's obviously way too big, so I'll move that font down to say 20 pixels. That looks pretty good. When I click off of it, I can then move that shape. So I'll move it up, and I want to center that text. So you double click on it, and you'll hit the center here, and I will want to maybe change the font style. You can do all of that in here, change the color. Not going to go too far into all of that just because, well, maybe I'll just change to white real quick so you can see, make it white, and that's looking pretty good. So obviously I'm not going too far into depth for each individual one, but this is how you'll do all of that styling. So then if I wanted to group these two, I would click them together. I would group this selection as demo button, right? And I can drop that within the header section. And if I hide all that, it's all hidden. I can hide just the logo. I can hide just the demo button. So you're starting to see how we would structure these pages. And then say I wanted to do like a text here, I would go Insert Text, drag it out, do headline, goes here. You can align that left. Then I'll move that over in line with my logo, make that a little bit larger. Maybe make that like 40 pixels. So you can see how we start to structure these things. Some also items that are helpful is if I go back into the browser and I do that inspect, say I'm on this Slack page, I can right click and hit inspect again. And if I like a font, I can click here and hover, and it's showing me that this is Slack Larciette font. So this is a custom font for them, but it'll also tell you the color. So if I want my color to match theirs, it'd be 1D, 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 and it also will give you the size. So their font size here is 56 pixels. So if I want my font to be exactly the same size, I now know that this needs to be 56 pixels. Looks a little bit large here, probably because of the font. So with this particular font, that probably wouldn't be the best choice, but you can play with all the various font styles. You can change their height, so I can change this to like 60, changes the line height, and then essentially just work through this, creating all the various sections that we want and making a mock-up that mirrors exactly what we want our site to look like. So that's a brief introduction to all the features. Feel free to play around. It's very user-friendly. Eventually you'll figure it out, and in the next video I'll start with the completed prototype that we want our landing page to look like that I built in Sketch, and then we'll work into setting that up within landing page software. So thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one.
Mother.